feel like God done for real blessed me, for real.
That's
Like,
true.
he done took his time on me, like really blessed me, like gave me all the gifts that I can even imagine.
Right.
So I'm like, if I don't do my part, like to the fullest that I can do it, I'm talking about work hard,
Right.
like give it everything I got, I feel like I'm cheating him. I feel like I'm letting him down, like I'm cheating him. If I don't develop all the gifts he done given me into like elite skills and be one of the best, I'm cheating.
Hey guys, welcome back to the season finale of season 5 of Keith's Hot Takes, and I have a very exciting show for you guys. My guy Q is going to be joining us in a few minutes. We're going to address North Carolina basketball, what's going on with our North Carolina Tar Heels. Then we're going to talk about the biggest keys and X factors for the Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl matchup. Then we're going to talk about who we think is going to win the big game. Then to close out, on my closing take, I'm going to have Q join me to discuss the JA Morant situation. If you haven't heard really quickly, basically some of his entourage, they were in 2 vehicles on the loading dock at the Grizzlies Arena. And like something had happened with the Pacers bus or whatever, where the security guard who was at the loading dock said he saw a laser being pointed at the Pacers bus, and they were thinking it's attached to a gun. So we're going to give Josh some real, raw, uncut advice to close out the show. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk about my Wednesday Rams, preview their remaining schedule. So let's go ahead and drop the intro, and then when I come back, I'll preview their remaining 4 games. They have 4 big games left, so let's drop that intro.
21, can you do something for me? 21. Can you hit
Alrighty, welcome back to Ramily Only. So first we start with our Lady Rams. I was just shocked. Obviously, I didn't get to see their game Saturday. I was out and about. But I was shocked to see, for one, we gave up 91 points to St. Aug. And for one, we lost to St. Aug, who, as I look here at the standings, they're 8-12, but you know, when you get into those divisional matchups in the CI, you really throw the records out because I'm gonna talk about our men's team and how they survived the scare. But the Lady Rams had made so much progress. I know we were dealing with a lot of injuries, and we had a, a sickness that was going around the team. So I really don't know how much that affected the team because I know their game that they were supposed to have at home last Wednesday against Salem, I think is who they were supposed to play, got canceled just because they didn't have enough healthy bodies. So I didn't get to see the game. So I just know I saw the score and I was disappointed because as I see here, they're in second place now in the Southern Division behind Fayetteville State, who they're just tough. We play them Saturday, so that's gonna be a big time matchup because I think West Ham State has lost 2 division games. So splitting with Fayetteville State is huge because we want to try to get the best seed possible and get as much rest before we play in Baltimore coming up in 2 weeks. It'll be here before we know it. So let's check out the Lady Rams' remaining schedule. All right. So tomorrow they play Clafton at home. It's the last home game of the season at Gaines. We'll talk about why that's going to be the last home game in a little bit. And then they play on the road at Fayetteville State Saturday. That's going to be a big time game. They're very tough. They have good guards. But I'm very confident in the Lady Rams. Then next Wednesday, they play at John C. Smith. That's always a tough environment to go in. Brave Boy Gymnasium is a small gym. It's usually packed, and we can come in there and take over their city. And then to close out the season, we play Livingstone at the Joel Coliseum. They decided to move that game because Livingstone is one of the hardest games to get into for students and fans because everybody wants to see that matchup because it is live action. And I'm hoping everybody packs the Joel next Saturday. I want us to fill up at least the bottom. I want it to be full with Rams And some Livingstone people want to come up, that's cool. But mostly I want my Ramily filling those stands next Saturday. I'll be there. So I want our Lady Rams to finish strong. I would love if they could go 4-0 to end the regular season. That'd be amazing. So hopefully they can end the season as strong as possible and get the best seeding possible for the CIAA tournament in 2 weeks in Baltimore. Moving to our men's team now. I want to give them their flowers. They battled some adversity last Saturday. St. Aug came ready to play. They were on an 8-game losing streak. We made it 9 straight games that they've lost. But they battled. They were up 10 on us. But shout out to our men's team. They battled some adversity. This would have been a brutal loss for our men's team because they're tied with Claflin, who they play tomorrow night for first place in the South. And that's going to determine who gets that bye. And I think you don't have to play till Thursday night. So that's going to be huge if we can win the South, because you don't have to play the Thursday night. So you get Tuesday and Wednesday off. So that could be huge. And you only have to win 3 games to win the CIAA tournament. But for the most part, we just didn't shoot well. But like I said, you just got to find a way sometimes on the road. You just got to find a way. And we've moved to 8th in the Atlantic regional rankings. So shout out to our men's team for that. So they have Clafton tomorrow, as I stated, at home. That's going to be our last home game for our 3 seniors, Jalen Parker, Xavier Fennell, and Jonathan Hicklin, my guy. So I know they're going to want to ball out in the last home game. They're going to want to get some payback on Clafton because we didn't shoot well the first matchup against Clafton. Our defense was good. We only gave up 56 points, but we only scored 43, and that's not Winston-Salem State basketball right there. So you can tell we had an off-night shooting. So I know Clafton's going to be tough tomorrow, but I feel like it's at home's games. So I know it's going to be packed. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get some payback tomorrow night. And then, as I stated as I stated with the Lady Rams, we play at Fayetteville State Saturday. That's never an easy place to win at. And then we go to Brave Boy next Wednesday, play John C. Smith, and then, like I said, they close out the season with against Livingstone at the Lawrence Joe Coliseum. So I just want to say, although I know playing at the Coliseum kind of takes away the atmosphere that you can only get at games, because you can only get that atmosphere at games. I do love it that more people will be able to go. It's no excuses. People can't say, oh, they didn't have room and stuff like that. Students, you have to claim your tickets by next Thursday. Fans, you can go. They have the link for the tickets. It's on their Instagram page. It's on their Twitter page. There's no excuses. I'll even put it in my description where you can, go through and see what all we're talking about on the show. I'll include it in there. So it's no excuses. We need to pack the Joel Coliseum next Saturday, starting at 2:00. Doors open up at 1:00. It's no excuses. Like I said, it's no excuses about I couldn't get in the game. It wasn't enough. They were at capacity. There's no capacity at this game. We got plenty of room. Everybody can come out. So next Saturday, senior day against Livingstone, I need everybody there. But shout out to our men's team. They won 4 in a row. And they have a tough closing schedule, especially the 2 road matchups at Fayetteville State, playing at Capel Arena. We're always their biggest draw. We always bring the most fans to a game that they have. So I know it's going to be a packed, sold-out crowd Saturday. That's never an easy place to go in and win, but I think we're going to go in there and handle our business. So I'm hoping our men's team can end the regular season on an 8-game winning streak and win all 4 of these games. I believe in them. They're getting healthy. Nathan Springs, he's coming off the bench. He's starting to, work his way back into the rotation. That's been huge. And Casey Shaw, who had the game-winning dunk Saturday as we beat St. Aug 72-70 in overtime, he's been huge. As a freshman, he's come in and had an instant impact on this team. And we're playing together. We got the best backcourt in the CI. I don't care what nobody says. Samaj Steele and Isaac Parsons, were their own. It's hard to beat us because we have the best backcourt in the CIAA. So definitely rooting for those. Definitely rooting for my Rams. I want us to finish the regular season strong. Our Lady Rams and our men's team, I want them to finish strong, finish 4-0. So now it looks like Q is ready. He's ready to join. So we're going to go ahead and talk about North Carolina basketball, what's wrong with them, the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the biggest X factors and keys for the Super Bowl, and then we're going to tell you who we think is going to win the big game. And then, like I said, we're going to get into the JA Morant situation, and we're going to give that young brother some words of wisdom, some advice, because he needs it. So let's go ahead and get rolling with that, and let's go ahead and bring Q in, and we're going to have the second half of the show. So let's get it rolling. All right, now joining the show, I got my guy Q joining the show, and we're going to preview the Super Bowl, and we got to talk about our heels, Q. So first off, how you doing today, bro?
Doing good, man. Can't complain. Another day, another dollar, man.
Yes, sir, and congratulations to your man LeBron last night. He passed Kareem as the all-time scorer. I stayed up to watch that last night, and I paid for it this morning at work. I was so tired.
Oh, yeah, same here, bro. Same. I was a little late to work this morning, bro, but I was like, man, this Bron, I got to see that.
Yeah, because I was like, it wouldn't feel right just seeing it on Twitter. I got to watch this live, you know.
Yeah.
So, so why don't we get into it? Q, man, our heels, they're falling off the wagons real bad. After having a 4-game winning streak, we've now lost 3 straight games. We lost to Pitt at the buzzer. We couldn't guard Burton. He was just cooking us. He was like 2018 James Harden. I don't know how he kept getting away with that push off. Like, how are they blind?
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
He was playing football. Anyways, and then Duke, we just missed so many opportunities in that game. We let Lively punk us. We started being timid around the basket, missing easy shots. And then last night, I was at the game. It was hard seeing us get railroaded again at Wake Forest. And if Appleby doesn't shoot 40 free throws, I don't know if they scored 90 points. So what do you think is wrong with our heels? What's the biggest issue with this team right now? Who, as Armando said last night, he told Leaky, Caleb, and RJ, we didn't come back for this. So what do you think is wrong with our heels right now?
I think a big part of it is kind of what you just stated. Like, I think when they said they was coming back, when they said they was coming back, I think they felt like people was gonna be scared automatically, or like, oh, them boys bad, like, you know what I'm saying, like. But that just made you a bigger target. Now people wanna beat you and show you that, like, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, you did all this in the off season, posting these videos. I'm coming back, and the redemption tour and all this stuff. Like, people see that just like the fans see it and get hyped. People you play against see it get hyped too. So they see that, or you think you're gonna just bring y'all back and then just run through the ACC type thing? Nah. That, and then we've been talking about it for 2 years now. Like, no bench development, man. So like, even when I start ain't playing well, we still can't get them guys in there for spot minutes, or they play 38, 39 minutes a game, and the last 2 or 3 minutes you could tell they played that long.
Yes,
you know, shots be a little short. They get blue by effort, you know what I'm saying? Just things like that. So I think it's just a mixture of our guys just, I wouldn't say preparing well, because we don't know how they really prepare, right? To us, to the eyes looking, it's looking like you're not preparing well. You're coming out there just going through the motions in a sense. And then I think it also falls a little bit on your coach and your coaching staff too, because it's kind of like, if you see these things about guys who feel entitled, or, you know, Caleb or RJ, for instance, you know, or Armando can get out there and turn the ball over, 3 or 4 times in a row, and they get to stay. But if you put a Dunn or a Styles, a Nickel, or Trimble in the game, and they make one bad play, they don't see the floor for 3 games, right? So I seen a crazy tweet today. I think you put it in the chat, or somebody, where they said Styles only played 39 seconds in the last 4 games. Like that.
Transfer portal.
I'm telling you, like, I don't know what he gonna do, but if it was me or my son, yeah, we out of there, because it's like his athleticism, man, is like that. You can't keep that on the bench, right? And he might not be the super knockdown shooter that you typically see on the wing, but when you're that athletic and you can go get the ball, rebound, you can defend, he's capable of knocking down a shot. Like, you have to find spot minutes for a guy like that. So I think it's just a mixture of a lot of things. I think we'll see a lot of turnover with our roster next year for sure. I don't know how many of them guys that are here will be back next year.
Yes, like you, and I think it was Brandon in the chat was saying that Trez, he's probably going to enter the portal because this is the second straight year he's been dealing with that. And like you were saying, I definitely, when they all said they were coming back, I guess it was more of the fan in me like, we're going to go 30-2, we're going to run through everybody, we're going to blow everybody out by 20. But no, it's not like last year when we just, snuck up on people. We were the preseason favorites, and Donchez Styles is probably going to enter the transfer portal because I was watching warm-ups last night. Him and Caleb, they were just putting on a dunk show. I'm like, how can't we get this guy some minutes? Because like he had his dirt, he had his warm-up off. I'm like, coach must have told Trez he gonna get in the game tonight, get some minutes, and then you don't even get to see the floor. And we got we got guys like Tyler Nickel who went over 2,000 points in high school. I think he's Virginia's all-time leading scorer, and we got him on the bench. I'll never forget last night. He was wide open in the corner. Caleb drove in the paint. Instead of passing one of our best shooters the ball, Caleb drives to the basket. He doesn't get the shot. That could have cut into Wake Forest's lead, put some pressure on them. And I'm like, no, Caleb, what are you doing? Because last night Appleby had more assists than our whole team. That is alarming. So I feel like the biggest problems with our team is toughness. We lack toughness right now. Because Wake, they went on a run last night, and it seemed like we never fought back once they went on that run. I was unfortunately at the game last night. It was hard to watch us get railroaded again at Wake Forest. I don't know what it is. We can beat them at home, but when we come to Winston-Salem, I don't know. Mondo getting in foul trouble the last 2 times hasn't helped. I don't know what was going on with Jalen Washington last night. He acted like he was scared to block shots, and he was letting people get a buffet line to the basket. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you brought up a good point about Caleb and RJ. Like, they can have like 3 or 4 turnovers in a row. Coach Davis will lead them in, but like one of the bench guys, they make one mistake, he pulls them. I mean, like you said, we don't see him for a couple games. And that frustrated me like the Duke game when Jeremy Roach was just barbecuing RJ Davis. I mean, he was just giving him hell. I feel like Seth, even though he isn't as confident in his shot right now for whatever reason, because Seth is a dog, I feel like his defensive pressure on Jeremy Roach would have been huge because he really gets out there on defense, even if he isn't contributing on offense. And I don't know why it seemed like he had been in the doghouse for the last couple games because he hadn't been getting the minutes that he was getting. And we saw last night when he attacks the basket, Seth, instead of, being, hesitant, like you're scared to do something with the ball. When he goes downhill, he is the matchup nightmare. He has his brother's athleticism. So I think the biggest things we need to do is work on our toughness, and we need to play together because one guy should not have more assists than our whole team. So we need to get back to sharing the ball. Caleb and RJ, they have to not be ball hogs sometimes. I feel like they want to put us on their back, and I love that. But you got to get everybody else involved. The Duke game was just really unfortunate because I feel like Lively, when he kept blocking our shots, it kind of made us timid. And we weren't being as strong as we needed to go into the basket. Because we've seen in ACC games when we play 10 guys, our starters are fresh, their legs are fresh. We look like a totally different team because I could tell last night, Mondo and some of the guys, they were winded. Because I think Leaky played almost the whole first half last night. And I'm like, why? When you got Trez, T. Nick on the bench, I'm like, Coach, what are you doing?
Yeah. How I look at it too, man, I think about it like this. Guys like Seth, T. Nick, possibly Jalen Washington, DeMarco Dunn, if he's staying around, like guys like that, that's 4 guys that will be seniors when we bring in that 4 or 5 man 2024 class, right? So now you think about that is 9 guys that can play. So how I'm looking at it is, it's like, if you can't develop your bench now, when when you feel like the talent isn't whatever as good as people think, to me, I feel like we have a lot of talent on that bench. So I'm not one of those guys. But when you
Yes.
bring in that much talent with possibly 3 or 4 seniors,
Mhm.
what do you do? If you're not showing that you can develop it now, why should we believe that you'll be able to do it in the future? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the. I want to say, coaching isn't an easy job, so I want to. Easy isn't the word I'm gonna use easy, but it's not that easy. But I feel like taking a guy and putting him in a game is like one of the easiest parts of coaching, right? It doesn't take too much thinking or too much doing. It's just like, here you go. Go figure something out, right? Now, when you get to the X's and the O's and all that type of stuff, that's a whole different level. I give them credit for that because I don't know how I would fold. I don't know how I would deal with the situation like that. But, you know, putting somebody in and out the game is an easy thing to kind of see what you have. So, like I said, man, I don't know. And the season ain't really – I don't really have too much more faith in the guys, man. With the stretch we got coming up, or they just haven't given me nothing to where I can feel like they can beat anybody we have left on our schedule at this point. So,
Well, I think, I mean, they had that 30-plus minute meeting last night. I'm hoping some good comes out of that, and I'm hoping we come out swinging Saturday. I know we got Clemson Saturday, and then we don't get much time to turn around and focus on Miami.
Miami,
Yeah. So
then we go to NC State. That's all I'm like.
but I feel like we're gonna what this team how they respond to this adversity is gonna tell me everything I need to know about this team. Because I know everybody in our group chat probably was thinking this team was gonna go 30-2, or I thought at least that the Rivers gonna go 30-2, blow everybody out. But it's not like that. You know, we're not like the underdogs we were last year. We
Yeah.
got this big target on our back. So we shall see. This 3-game stretch is going to tell us a lot about our season. So I can't wait to.
And I don't know if you remember, bro, but remember when the beginning of the season started and we was having those early games, and I was saying like, man, this team ain't gonna look good. Like, you remember people we were saying that, people were like, well, wait
Yeah.
to March and wait to February, wait to March. Now we're in February, March, and it's like, what are we, 13 and what, 8? We're 13 and 8?
14-8 or 14-9, something
You know,
like that.
something like that. So it's like, this is something that I seen from the beginning, bro. Like, I seen it was gonna unfold this way, bro. So it's like, it's not that I told you to certain people, but it's kind of like, it really is how I told you, because I like the beginning of the season, everybody, are we going back? I'm going to get my tickets to Houston or Dallas or wherever we play at.
Houston.
Get my tickets to Houston, and I'm like, slow your roll, champ. Like, I don't think I realized how much Brady helped us last year. Like,
Yeah, we miss it.
and that's probably 70% of the reason why we're struggling right now. Just
Yeah.
his floor space he provided, his leadership. Like somebody said, Brady will get in the press conference and call anybody out.
He
We
didn't
played
care.
soft. We played soft, all of us. He did that. He was that leader.
Yes.
Well, I don't think we have that guy. So that's another thing too that contributes to like why we are in the position that we're in.
Yes, and speaking of that, our defense in the first 2 games was good. This 3-game losing streak, we only gave up 65 points to Pitt, 64 to Duke. Our offense just didn't travel. I don't know if that's because we weren't playing a lot of guys and our guys just wore down, or what. But you know, our defense was there. It was just the offense, especially our 3-point shooting, just hasn't been there during this 3-game losing streak. And I think sometimes we shoot way too many when we could attack. And most of our guys are better attacking than they are shooting threes. So we have to see. But I am so sick that Pete had a chance to make it a game Saturday, and Leaky had a wide open shot in the corner. Neither one of them went down. It wasn't meant to be, unfortunately. Right. If you had one suggestion for Coach Davis, what would it be? Really quickly, let's talk about that.
Just see what you have in them guys on the bench, man. I just want to see more of them at this point. Like, I know we kind of still on the brink, on the bubble of being an attorney, but I still want like him to work in those guys some way, somehow. Like, I don't know. And if they get out there and they do absolutely horrible, man, then we'll be quiet. But I don't think we've seen that. Like, I think the only guy that has had a lot of minutes off the bench has been Dunn, and he's had some good moments and he had some bad moments. But no other guy has really gotten a great amount of minutes to be able to show what they actually can do. So I would love to see that, man. Just open that rotation up a little bit, man. Try to get our starters down maybe to 30, 31 minutes a game. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Where, you know what I'm saying? We ain't, like you said, we ain't asking for the bench to play 15 to 20 minutes, but can we get 8 to 9 or, you know what I'm saying? Just something along the lines of that. That's all.
Yeah, because we don't need Caleb and RJ almost every game. They're right there 38, 39 minutes. That's too much when you got all those guards on the bench. So I agree with you. The biggest thing I would suggest to Coach Davis is see what you got on this bench on your bench, because if you don't, you won't have a bench next year. They'll be in the portal because you got some dogs on that bench. And it's crazy because he said, I'm not just going to play 5 or 6 or 7 guys this year. I'm going to play 9 or 10 because we got some dogs on this bench. And then where is this, Coach Davis? I mean, you say stuff and then you say one thing and then you do it.
Yep.
You know, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I had false hope. I thought I could believe my coach, but apparently he was blowing smoke. And then
Yeah.
he'll say they're not doing what they're supposed to in practice, and practice is how you earn minutes. Ain't no way these guys that bad in practice.
Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. So.
Ain't no way they're getting cooked like this in practice, or, you know. So I wish he stopped saying that, because I be wanting to turn his press conference off when he say that. And when they ask him how can guys get minutes, tell me the truth. I don't need that. We earn minutes in practice. I don't want to hear that. I've heard that too much.
Right.
So yes, I hope we can develop our bench going into the tournament, because that burned us last year. We don't need no Iron 5. We don't have that this year. So that's what we need to fix. Now let's preview our Super Bowl. We got the number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs from the AFC, and we got the number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles from the NFC. And this is going to be our youngest Super Bowl quarterback matchup ever. Patrick Mahomes is 27, and Jalen Hurts is only 24 years old. So we can see this matchup maybe once or 2 more times. And of course, we know this is the first Super Bowl where both our quarterbacks are black. So this is a really significant and powerful Super Bowl. So Q, first, before we get into predicting the game, what do you think is going to be the biggest key and X factor for both teams going into the Super Bowl?
The biggest key for Kansas City is going to be if they can protect Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
That's going to be the main thing. I feel like they give him time to go through his progressions and do what he does best, just make magic happen. I think they'll be okay. And for the Eagles, they're going to have to figure out a way to generate some pressure. If the Eagles don't, I just don't think that, even as good as their secondary is, I don't know how good they'll be against Patrick Mahomes, you know. So, like, we've seen him make things out of nothing. Like, we think a player's dead, and next thing you know, it's a 70-yard bomb down the sideline. So, I think it's for Kansas City, what their O-line can do, if they can protect them. And then for Philly is if they can get pressure, that's going to be really big for them. So I'm going to put it all on the both lines, the offensive line for the Chiefs and the defensive line for the Eagles.
So the trenches. I think that's going to be a big key, because it's crazy. The Chiefs have the highest pass blocking win rate, and the Eagles, we saw how they get after the quarterback. They better have somebody blocking Hassan Reddick. It better not be a tight end, or him end up, or Patrick Mahomes end up like Brock Purdy and either Tommy John.
Well, it's Kelsey, I like my chances a little better.
Yeah, but I was like, why do y'all? That's Hassan Reddick. Like, I don't know why the Panthers let him go. That's crazy to me. They're regretting that now, because him and Burns, imagine them two coming off the edge, that would have been terrifying. But I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are gonna have to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. I think that's gonna be another key as well, because Chris Jones, they were just moving him up and down the line against the Bengals. They were finding that weak spot. The Eagles' offensive line doesn't really have any weak spots. I think they're the best offensive line in football. It's painful to say that, but yes, I think they have the best offensive line in the NFL. And how are the Chiefs going to hold up against this Eagles front, who's deep? They're about 10 deep. They can rotate guys in and get constant pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Because I agree with you. I don't know if they're able to if they don't get pressure, I don't know if their secondary is going to be able to hold up when he starts rolling out the pocket and, running around so something opens up, because I think he's going to be a lot healthier, because he's had 2 weeks for that ankle. to heal up, and that's why I picked the Bengals because I thought he was not going to be able to be as successful as he was. I thought they were going to be able to get a lot more pressure, but their pass rush was pretty quiet. The Bengals, I don't think they got back there at all. So I agree with you. And do the Eagles have somebody to match up with Kelsey? I think that's going to be because that's who Mahomes is going to look for when he needs to play. That's who he's going to, 87. So do they have a guy who can deal with Kelsey? I think that's going to be a big key.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, Q. So let's find out. Are you going to pick your division rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, or are you going to pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win this year's Super Bowl in Glendale, Arizona? So, Q, who do you have winning this year's Super Bowl?
I'm gonna go with Kansas City. The only reason why I'm gonna go with Kansas City is because it's the quarterback, man. I just trust Mahomes to make more plays than Jalen Hurts. If it gets to a point where Jalen Hurts has to win the ball game by throwing the ball, I'm not sure if he can survive a shootout with Patrick Mahomes, right? Which I kind of think this game will get to at a point. Not the whole game. I don't think the whole game will be a shootout, but I think it will get to a point where we start to see some fireworks get going and things of that sort. The Chiefs get Snead back, the corner who missed most of the game against the Bengals. That'll be big for him to be on, AJ Brown, things like that of that sort. The linebackers that the Chiefs have on that side of the ball, and the secondary with Reed and Thornhill and guys like that. So I think guys that have been there before, I think that's the main thing. Like, when you've been there before, you kind of know the ins and outs. So I think the Chiefs will get it. I'm looking at I think it'll be I got the Chiefs on like a late touchdown, so I'm gonna take them 31-24. I'm gonna take the Chiefs 31-24.
Okay, I agree with you. Not just because I hate the Eagles and
Wow.
I don't want them to win the Super Bowl, but like you said, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Don't get me wrong, he's a dog.
Absolutely.
I love him. I know he's gonna be ready to roll Sunday. But like you said, Patrick Mahomes, I've made the mistake of picking against Patrick Mahomes on this show, and it never goes well, especially in the biggest moments. Like you said, this Chiefs team, they're in the AFC, and we know all the quarterbacks are in the AFC, so we don't know when they're going to get back to this point. The Eagles, the NFC is kind of down. It's not as hard as getting through the AFC. They'll probably be back a few times with all the talent that they have on their roster. But I think the Chiefs are going to slow down the Eagles' run game because that's the biggest key. You can't let them run for over 150 yards. You got to make Jalen Hurts beat you. And I think they got to make him make some key third down throws where he misses or they get some pressure on him and it causes them to punt the ball or stuff like that. And I just think Mahomes, he's going to be on a mission because the last Super Bowl he was in, he was running for his life. It's crazy. The 2 Super Bowls he's been in, he's had to face some top-notch defenses. And now his 3rd Super Bowl, he's got to go against another top-notch defense.
Right.
But I also think it's going to come down to a late touchdown or field goal. And I think Mahomes is going to set it up. But I think this is going to be an instant classic. This is going to probably be one of the better Super Bowls we've had in recent history. And I just want a good game. No blowouts, please.
Please, no blowout. Please.
Yes, please. Because I want to see Rihanna at halftime, so I don't want to have to turn the game.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to see Riri.
Yes. But yes, I expect this because these are 2 of the most complete teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see Spagnuolo because he's a big game defensive coordinator. He went up against that Brady Vonnet offense in 2007 and 2011. So he's been here before. So I can't wait to see what he cooks up to slow down Jalen Hurts in this offense because they really don't have no weaknesses. Because if you slow down AJ Brown, he got Devontae Smith on the other side. And our HBCU alum, Joshua Williams, Fayetteville State, I can't wait to see him in the Super Bowl. He's probably going to have to guard either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. He's probably going to have some help over the top just because those are stud receivers. You don't want to deal with them one-on-one. So
right.
I hope he does well. He had the pick in the Bengals game. I was so happy I love seeing our HBCU guys do well.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
yeah.
other safety, the Cook guy, I think his last name Cook, Howard University.
Oh yes, and
Yeah. So,
yes. Oh yeah.
and that's another reason I don't want to be that guy, but it's like it's some HBCU guys for the Eagles. So I think it's 1 or 2 over there.
Hargrave, the D tackle,
Yeah.
he went to South Carolina State.
Yeah, so that's why, man. Like I'm all HBCU. I wish both of them. I wish I was on one team, so it'd make it easier for me to root for whoever. But yeah, I want to see them guys do well, especially Joshua Williams. He done fought through some adversity this year, some ups and downs. So like you said, I think that helped him too. Getting that pick in the playoffs against the Bengals is like it's huge. Like that's a confidence boost coming back. So and he not guarding a AJ Brown and Devontae Smith good. They good. Now don't get me wrong, but he not guarding a Jamar Chase or a T Higgins, who I feel like are on another level than those guys as far as route runners, and Higgins being at 6'4". You know what I'm saying? So like that's the difference, So so I think that's important too. I was gonna say real quick, I think the X factors though, like you said, it's gonna be Devontae Smith for the Eagles. I think he's gonna be an X factor, and then Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs. I think he's gonna have a big game. Rushing and receiving. So he run hard, man. Like he run like
I'm telling you, right?
Like he run like a dog behind him. You know how I used to do back in the day, a dog behind you, you just take off.
Yes.
So I don't know what he be having going on, but
he be run so angry. I was like, bro, trying to get some anger off or something.
He run like he's gonna be his last run every time, and that's something that you never really want to deal with as a defender. Like Bird running into you every time hard, every single time. He's not letting up. So he's gonna be an X factor in Devontae Smith. So I feel like whichever one of them have the bigger game kind of can help sway the victory in the other team favor.
Yeah, because once it gets to the fourth quarter, you don't want to make them tackles against Pacheco like you did in the first quarter. Them hits hurt. But McKinnon too, out of the backfield for the Chiefs, because it seems like he always gets a touchdown or something. Yeah. And it's crazy how they don't really have the weapons like a Tyreek or something like that, but this offense is still putting up numbers. That just goes to show you Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I can't wait to see what they do, especially in the red zone. They come up with some crazy stuff that you only see with the Chiefs. You remember the merry-go-round that they did against
I'm like, what are they doing? Like, it used to make me so mad, but I developed another level of respect for Patrick Mahomes this year. Like you said, like I was one of those people too. I was like, I don't know how he gonna do without Tyreek, but he did it. Like with Juju and Valdez Scantling and McCole Hardman, he's been out for most of the season. So your number one receiver is essentially your tight end, and you throw for, I think he still threw for like 5,000 yards, right? So it's like,
yeah.
And I think they get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back for the Super Bowl game. I seen that he was practicing back, so they get some reinforcements back. So, and Philly hasn't been really that good against the run, so if the Chiefs can do their thing with that and kind of not be so predictable, I think, I think the Chiefs are getting some key pieces back at the right time.
Yeah, and I mean the Eagles can only play who they play, but they got to play Daniel Jones and then what's the quarterback, Joshua Johnson or whatever his name. Yeah. So he's been on half the NFL team, so that tells you everything you need to know.
Right.
Oh man, but I mean they could only control who's in front of them, but
Absolutely.
I mean they have had an easier road to the Super Bowl than the Chiefs. So Q, before we go, I thought I'd have you join me on my closing take, talk about JA Morant and the troubling situation that's going on with him. Did you hear what happened with him and his crew? I wanted to play this 20-second clip from Shannon Sharpe. He was talking about it earlier this week. So here is Shannon Sharpe talking about the JA Morant incident. So to catch you up really quick, after the game against the Pacers, JA Morant's crew apparently they were in 2 cars. The Pacers were, I guess, on their bus in the loading dock, getting ready to leave the arena. Ja and Andrew Nembhard, who's a rookie guard for the Pacers, they had got into it during the game a little bit, and then apparently the security guard for the Grizzlies saw like a laser coming from one of the 2 cars that was part of Ja's crew, and they were thinking it's most likely from a gun. So here is Shannon Sharpe with his thoughts on the JA Morant situation. So here you go.
Wish Ja would realize that he's not a stud. You got a $200 million contract, and you want people in the NBA to think you hood. to think you gangster because you roll with these type of people, bro. You putting yourself in harm's way when you don't have to. Nobody looks at you, John, think, man, that's a thug. He hood. He down. He about that. You not. Stop pretending.
So, what advice would you give Ja Morant? Because he is, although he says it's not true, it's never a good look when a story like this comes out. So what advice would you give to a young Ja Morant who I feel like needs some guidance?
I would just say, never forget where you come from, but also know where you are and where you're going. Like you said, man, like you make a lot of money to dribble a basketball and score baskets, man. And you don't never want to throw all that away just because you want to act tough or make people think that you're tough, right? So I just had a conversation like this earlier with some of my students, and I was like, the most important thing to you right now should always be the ability to always get back home, make it back home. And you never want 5 minutes to cost you 20 years of your life, right? So if that would have went left with the, they were saying there was a laser with a gun on it, they would say somebody gets shot and God forbid somebody would have got killed. It's a whole different dynamic now, right? So I think that's what he really needs to realize. He needs to get some guys in his corner that aren't the homeboys that still have that hood mindset. We out the hood now. Like we living good. We in Memphis. You know what I'm saying? We got these big old mansions. You know what I'm saying? Like the street life is done. Whatever you did in your past, cool. We get it. Like, but now you are in a whole different position to where you can provide better opportunities for you and the homeboys that are around you. So I'm not gonna be the guy to say get rid of the homeboys, because we all got some guys that fall a little short, right? But if those guys aren't willing to adapt to who they are for the betterment of you and them, then that's a bridge that you might need to burn, because essentially, like, you have too much to lose if you're Ja Morant. You have too much to lose, and honestly and truly, your friends probably don't. So just be mindful of the company you keep. And just like I said, man, like, never forget where you came from, because it helps you get to where you're going. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said, bro. That was well said. And the biggest thing I think is you got to realize, like, when you elevate in life, you can't take everybody with you. Some people you got to leave in your past, because some of those friends that he grew up with in Sumter, South Carolina, he can't, hang around with him. He got too much to lose. He got a Nike contract. The Grizzlies, he got a big contract with the Grizzlies, and he has kids that look up to him. So I think it would be nice if the Grizzlies had like a OG on their team, a veteran, because most of those guys are the same age, and they don't. Steven Adams, I don't really know if he could be that guy for Ja, but I think that's what Ja is really missing, and I hope some of the old former NBA players reach out to Ja and give him some guidance and wisdom, and hopefully he listens to that. But yeah, you just have to be careful. I don't know if this story is true or not, but the article came out and it's not painting you in a positive light, whether it's true or not. So I think Ja needs to realize that and kind of elevate his circle. And his friend did get banned for the arena for a year because of this situation. So it obviously was some type of truth in this situation.
right.
So yeah, Ja's one of my favorite players to watch. Once or twice a week, you'll have a dunk where you're like, "Oh my God, he just did
Right.
this!"
What does he got going on? Right.
Like his athleticism is ridiculous. So I don't want Ja to throw his career away, because he's going to be one of the most special players in NBA history if his body holds up. Because we saw with Derrick Rose, those knees after a while they break down because you're putting so much force on your knees and stuff like that. But I just want Ja to kind of watch who he's hanging around and watch what they're doing when he's with them. The guys who are probably from his childhood. And Shannon Sharp, he had a good example of this. Ray Lewis, on his
Right.
team was kind of hanging probably with the wrong guys, and he got caught up in a situation that could have, cost him his NFL career. So
Absolutely.
I think Ray Lewis would be a great guy to reach out to
The
Ja.
mentor.
And if Ja's willing to listen, Ray, went through it firsthand.
Hey, NBA news: Lakers traded Russ. So they got D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. Utah gets Russell Westbrook, Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, first round pick. Minnesota got Mike Conley, Alexander Walker in 3 seconds.
Wow, Q is turning the shams on Q
You know
side
what I'm
days.
saying? It's a Q bomb on your show. It's a Q bomb.
But Utah will probably buy Russ out because no way he wants to stay in Utah.
Buyout, and then the Clippers are the likely destination.
Oh, so he's gonna go downstairs. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, but Russ, I mean, he was the reason why they got back in that game last night because the Thunder, man, that young team was hard to deal with. The Lakers got them old players. They can't be
Right.
going up and down with them young guys. But
You feel me? But I like that though. Like, oh yeah, man. Yeah, we have to talk about that on another show, Keith.
But D'Angelo Russell, I think that's
Yeah.
the kind of if you can't get Kyrie Irving, get D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think he's like 18-8 or something like that. I mean, so he's definitely gonna help. He's something that they need.
Sure.
So if they can keep AD healthy, the Lakers, they can't really lose too many more games because so we'll have to see about that. But we'll definitely have to do a show leading into the playoffs about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Q, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, bro. It was fun talking about our Tar Heels and the Super Bowl with you, bro. And
Always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. Anytime, bro.
yes, sir. You take care, bro.
All right, bro. You too.